Good morning. Hi. Welcome to our session this morning around EFT tapping to support you to manage stress, which I think is a very important issue. And it's my pleasure to be able to share some of the EFT tapping with you today, some techniques that will help you in managing this thing that affects us all in different ways. So, my name is Stella and I am a wellness practitioner. I'm a therapist. I use EFT. I'll tell you a bit more about what that is in case you're new to it in a moment. But I use EFT tapping, mindfulness techniques, hypnotherapy, and Qigong, which is Tai Chi for health. You may have seen me do some sessions on here in some of those things. Today, as mentioned, we're focusing on emotional freedom technique. So, just before we sort of dive in, really, there's a few things that I want to just make sure that we cover. One is it would be lovely to hear your comments. So please do pop in any comments you have about the session today, any questions. I know the team at the Royal Voluntary Service love to see your feedback, as do I. I will have a look through and take a look and answer any questions if you have questions. So yes, please do share. It's lovely to have you join. And a few other bits are just to say that it's really important that you are able to take responsibility for yourself. So with stress, we are impacted in different ways. And I just want to explain that today's session really is about supporting you to manage mild to medium stress. If you're somebody that is finding stress is really ruling your life and you're very stressed and it's impacting you to a severe degree, then I would suggest speaking to your GP, seeking more sort of in-depth personalized support. There's lots of things out there, isn't there, like community groups, etc. So just keep that in mind. Today, we're supporting you to manage this stress. And what you really need is a safe place somewhere that you can have a bit of time to yourself whilst you engage with the session. It'll be really great if you could have some water to hand. It's quite thirsty work. We're doing some healing work together and you might be speaking out loud. So please do have some water and just make sure you're as comfortable as you can be. You might like a notepad and pen, but it's not essential. But some things sometimes come up whilst we're doing EFT tapping, and you might note it down, journal it, so you can, I don't know, reflect on it later and maybe do some further tapping on yourself, which I hope you'll feel a bit more confident to do. I'd like to send you away with at least one of the tapping points that you can do yourself at home to help with the stress. Okay. So EFT. What is it? You might be brand new to it, or you might be familiar, but just in case it is something that's new to you, it stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, and it's described as many different ways, but it's an energy psychology or a mind-body therapy, because what we're doing is we're bringing the mind and the body together. Not all therapies do that, and whilst it is a therapy, it supports people, in a therapeutic context. It's also a supportive self-wellbeing tool that you can use in different ways, which I think is one of the things that make it so powerful. And we tap on points around the body. So I'll take you through those points so you feel more comfortable throughout the session. You'll get more confident with what the points are. So don't worry, it takes a little bit of time to get into it. And we start with what's called the karate chop point. And with EFT, what we're doing, just to sort of summarize it really, is to tune in with the body. We're becoming aware of what's going on in the body. So our body tends to show us different things. And often in modern Western life, we've become detached from that, what's really going on in here. And it's not our fault, we're just not taught generally to have that connection. So that means quite often we miss the signals. Our body will be showing us stress signs, really subtle stress signs, quite early on. But because we're not tuned in, we might be missing them and then they build up. And that's when we find we're like in a more serious situation, trying to deal with this stress, as if it comes from nowhere, but actually it's been our body's been trying to show us, that there's something that we sort of need to deal with or change for a little while. So with EFT, we're accepting, we're noticing what's going on in the body, becoming aware. It's like we're building a bridge between the mind and the body. And the more we do that, the stronger that bridge becomes, the easier it is for you to notice and to check in with your body. Because nobody knows your body better than you, right? Nobody else can tell you what's going on in there. We can learn to become aware. So we notice what's going on in there, we check in, we build that bridge. We might name it as an emotion, it might just be a sensation, a quality. What does this feeling in your body look like? Does it have a shape, a colour? Or it might just be you link a word of it, an emotion. Or you might be unsure. You might not feel a clear answer for some of what we do today, and that's okay. There's no right or wrong. It's about letting yourself be open to this experience. And if you feel a bit numb or disconnected, then just notice that and you can tap on that. Okay. But with the tapping, we're doing the piece of noticing and accepting. So we're bringing in a bit of acceptance around what we're feeling. Quite often we want to bat it away or push it down and just get on with things. Again, that's a lot of what we've been taught. But actually, that isn't necessarily sustainable. We might burn out, the stress might become more serious and chronic if it's not addressed. So it's really useful for us to accept this feeling, whatever it is for us, this stress and how it shows up in our life, and to find ways that will support us to help resolve it, to reduce it. And that's what we're doing today. So well done. Well done already on showing up and giving yourself this time to take a bit of care for yourself. Is so important. Obviously, if you're experiencing stress, it's really, really important. Great. And with the tapping, we go through the points, and these are meridian points. So in different EFT practices or trainers might show slightly different points, but these ones that I share are specific, in my training, and they're wonderfully useful. Some people describe EFT as like acupuncture about the needles. So people are quite familiar with acupuncture. It's about moving energy around the system. If we see that we are like this energy system, if things get blocked, so in traditional Chinese medicine, for example, we've got all these meridians around the body, all connected to, organs and emotions. And throughout life, blocks occur, when this energy gets stuck, when emotions aren't flowing, when things are made wrong. As a child, you might have an emotion, there might be some kind of stress or anxiety, and through no fault of their own, somebody around you, an adult might have responded in a way or told you, that you shouldn't feel like that, so you might have kept it in, or society might have implied that you shouldn't feel sadness or anger, whatever it is, and then it gets lodged in the system, when actually these emotions aren't good or bad. They just are. They're just energy, and they should just flow through us. So what we're doing with this practice is we're helping that flow. We're helping clear the blocks. It's like we want everything to run like a nice clear river around our energy system, and we're supporting clearing some of those blocks that are built up in the river today. Whether you connect with that explanation or not, it doesn't matter. It's about just giving it a go, really, and seeing what happens for you, and just being curious. Okay, perfect. Well, the best way to discover EFT or to explore it further is to experience it. So we will start tapping very, very shortly. Don't want to give you too much information. But obviously you can explore more after the session and look into EFT if you are curious. Okay. So if at any point you feel like an intensity of your stress or a symptom, I just want to be clear that sometimes that's a natural part of the process. Sometimes with this EFT, as it's like, on that river, you've got the blocks, the stream, the sediment that's built up, and it has to come up to be released. So in a way, that can be a good thing when things intensify. But I want to be clear that obviously your body. If at any point it feels too much or overwhelming, hit the pause button, return to this later, you can watch it back. in your own time, or take a moment, connect with somebody perhaps that could you could have a chat with or a cup of tea with later, just that check-in, or do something that will be nice and supportive for you, like a grounding meditation, which we will do in a moment, just to set you up for that in case you need it. If you find that it is too much stress that's going on in your life, then I encourage you to seek some support, chat with somebody. But in this moment, we're assuming that you feel ready to explore some of your sort of mild to medium stress. Okay. I'm going to share a grounding meditation with you now. So the idea with this is we're just getting into our body, we're tuning in with what's there, and I'm going to, remind you that you can return to this anytime, after today, or even within this session if you feel you need the grounding. So if it's comfortable to do so, I invite you to close your eyes, to take some nice deep breaths. Okay. And with those nice deep breaths, it's good to breathe in through your nose and let a sigh out as you breathe out. You can bring your shoulders up and let it all go as you breathe out. Part of that is we're tuning in, we're beginning to turn our attention inwards. We're beginning to notice how we feel, focusing on the body. So making sure you're as comfortable as you can be. Nice deep breaths. With each breath, you can soften your body 1-2%. That's all you need to notice a change. It doesn't have to be huge amounts. And perhaps you've got tension in your body. Your mind might be racing. You might feel stressed now, and that's okay. That's okay. Just 1 or 2% of softening your shoulders, relaxing your body, becoming aware of how your body's positioned, where your hands are placed. Perhaps there's a chair supporting your back, underneath you in your body. It's pushing down with gravity against that chair, that sofa, wherever you are right now. And noticing how it feels to be weighed down, to let your body become perhaps a bit heavier. To feel your feet on the ground. Remembering that right now in this moment, there's nothing that you need to do. There's nobody that you need to be. Whatever's going on for you in the world, in your life right now, you can just bring your attention back to the sound of my voice, to your body, to this session in the moment. Knowing there's no need to rush or push. Just allowing yourself to feel what you feel and to be here, just as you are, just as your body is. I'd like you to use your wonderful imagination to connect with a safe place. So it could be a wonderful place in nature that you visited, or it might be an imaginary place. It might be a room in a home that feels nice and safe. Just inviting you to connect with this safe place where you feel comfortable, nurtured. And this is your safe place. You can come back to this in your mind at any time, whether you see it or you just feel it, however your mind works, but it's just that connecting with that place. Okay. You can do that after the session at any time you feel stressed. There's some things we can't control, but you can connect with that. Okay. So, just going to introduce the points to you. So either hand, with all of these points, it can always be either side, and it's just a karate chop point, the outside of your hand, and you can tap it as gently, as firmly as feels right for you. You could do it like this, just find your own way with it. Okay. We're going to do what's called a setup statement. So I'm going to say something and you can repeat it in your head or out loud. Out loud is ideal, but in your head is okay too. If at any point something I say doesn't feel that relatable to you, because obviously what I'm saying is quite general for a large group of people, you can adjust it, say something else that feels true for you. Or just follow whatever you want to do. It's perfect. Okay. Whilst we're tapping this point, before I do the setup statement, I invite you to do a little bit of a scan of your body, to get curious about where you might be holding stress. Where in your body do you feel stress? Now or when you are going through a stressful time? And what quality does it have? Is it tight? Is it pressure? Is it like a bubbling anxiety? Is it like a block? Whatever you experience, just become aware of it, and you might note it down if you've got a pen and paper. And if you could link an emotion to that stress, that sensation you're connecting with right now, what might it be? Remembering that you're in control, you can go into this feeling as much as you want to. You could dip your toe in, or you might want to embrace this stressful feeling if you feel comfortable to do that. If you could guess an emotion attached to your stress, what comes to you? There's no right or wrong. If you can't guess an emotion, that's okay, or you might have a really strong sense. It might surprise you, or it might feel familiar. Okay, noting that to yourself. And give it a number. So 1 to 10. If 10 is the most intense, this tension, this stress could be, and 0 is the least. Where are you right now? Give yourself that number. We're going to explore how that number might change, how the sensation might change through this session. Okay. Nice deep breaths whilst we're tapping. So just repeating after me. Even though I have this stress, I feel it in my body. You can say to yourself where you're feeling it. It feels like, complete the sentence to yourself. Right now I notice it. I acknowledge my stress. I acknowledge it in my body. I acknowledge this stress in my life, in the world. And I give myself permission to feel what I feel. And I'm going to try to send my body some compassion, feeling the stress. I'm going to try to have compassion for my body and myself. Okay. So the next point is the top of the head. Again, you can just tap as hard or as light as feels good for you. Remember to keep breathing, nice deep breaths, helps the energy move. And I'll say now that with this process, shifts in energy can come up in different ways. So sometimes, as we mentioned, sensations might intensify. Sometimes they might dissolve. Sometimes you might find you're yawning, sneezing, laughing or crying. This is all natural. It's okay. It means energy is moving. So just to make you aware of that and just get curious about it. Stress. So just repeating this word, stress. Okay, the next point is your inner eyebrows. It's just where your eyebrows begin. You can do both hands or just one. Nice deep breath. Nice stress. Okay, outer eyes. Just tapping by the side of your eyes. Stress. Under the eyes. Feel stressed. Under the nose. This stress in my body. Okay, and on the chin, just under your bottom lip. Remember to keep breathing. Stress. Okay, the next point is just under your collarbone. You've got sort of a little soft spot. We're just tapping here, and you can do it with both hands or you can do it with one across like this, whatever feels good for you. Nice deep breath. Stress in my body. Okay, and the next point is under the arm. So you can do either side, but it's just on the side here. And if you wear a bra, it's where the bra strap is. So we're just tapping gently on the side, under the arm. And repeating my stress. Okay, and now we're tapping across the wrist. Either side is fine. Just tapping like this. Nice deep breath. I feel stressed. Saying out louder to yourself, I feel stressed. Okay, now we're going to tap each finger and you're just tapping on the nail bed. So we start on the thumb. You can do it like this on either side, or you can just pop your finger across like this. I find this easiest. Okay, so when I say next, you move on to the next finger. And so repeating this stress in my body. Next. I feel stressed. Next. This stress in my life. Next. This stress in my body. Next, or on the little finger. Life is stressful. Okay, sometimes we might do this point, which is called the gamut point, where you can hold or tap. So I'll show you, I'll be clear if we're going to do that point. But they are the points we're going to use. So just a little bit of a quick introduction so you can get a bit more familiar. But we will explore some more sort of issues, common themes that come up for people around stress. Please have a glug of water to help that healing process if you feel thirsty. So we're going to go into a bit more of a tapping round. Now you're a bit more familiar with the points. I will say when we're moving on to another point, so if you want to close your eyes, you know that I'll be letting you know if we're moving on. Okay. So tuning into your body, starting with the karate chop point, remembering that you're just getting curious about what your body's showing you today, about how stress shows up in your body and your life, what it means to you. With EFT, sometimes it can feel like we're focusing on the negative, but actually what we're doing is we're giving these more suppressed emotions and energy some space to be felt and come up. We're not making them right or wrong. We're giving them some permission to be felt so they can be released. And we can bring in more positive statements as well towards the end, but we have to address some of that charged stress energy before we can bring in more positive affirmations. Just to explain that, a lot of people do ask about that. Okay, so repeating out loud or in your head. Remember, you can adjust this wording for yourself at home if you want to, or just follow what I'm saying. Even though life can be really stressful, sometimes it feels like the world is coming at me. There's so much to do. Just feel stressed. And I feel it in my body. Acknowledge where you feel it in your body. This feeling of stress, it's overwhelming. Right now, I notice this feeling of stress. I acknowledge the way stress is showing up for me, my body, my life, my relationships, the way I treat myself. I acknowledge this may be an issue for me and that I'm struggling with stress. But right now, I give myself permission to feel what I feel. Maybe I don't need to fix it or to push it away. Maybe I can accept myself and my body and my life with the stress. It's not easy, but maybe I can accept myself a little bit more, just as I am. If you have any resistance, you don't need to repeat this. If you have anything, you notice any resistance to anything that I say and you repeat, that's okay. Just get curious about it. And it's good to not say things that don't feel true to you. So if you notice a resistance, you can adjust it. And it's useful to say, even though part of me doesn't believe it, I can let this in just a little, the possibility of accepting myself. Just 1 or 2%, Okay. Even though I have stress in my life, I just feel so stressed. And you can let out a sigh or a frustrated sound, that will help. Ugh, just so stressed. I'm so overwhelmed. The world feels stressful. The news stresses me out. My body feels stressed. Right now, I notice it. I acknowledge my stress. I give my body permission to feel it. And I wish it was different. I'd like to feel calmer. But I do have this stress in my life. And I acknowledge it. And I choose to try to accept myself even with the stress. I choose to try to invite some more calmness into my life. I'm just curious about what that would be like for me to feel more calm. Just curious about that, how it could be different. Okay, we'll do one more round on this point. Nice deep breath. Even though I have this stress in my life, sometimes I feel really overwhelmed and it's uncomfortable. I don't want to feel stressed, but it keeps coming up. I feel it in my body. Where do you feel it? And it makes me feel, how does it make you feel? Right now, I notice my stress. I acknowledge the feeling of overwhelm and how much I wish it was different. You can swap hands if you want to. And in this moment, I choose to open to the possibility of accepting myself and my body, even with the stressful feeling. Maybe it's okay. Maybe I'm okay just as I am, and you can connect to that safe place that helps you feel okay. Okay, I'm going to go to the top of the head. Nice deep breath. If at any point you feel that you can't tap, it feels too much, you might experience fatigue, or some people might have a disability that limits the tapping points. I want to let you know that you can imagine it. You can imagine tapping on these points and it will still be really powerful. So that's a useful thing to know. Repeating after me. I feel so stressed. Remembering those deep breaths and sighs are going to help. Stressed. Inner eyebrows. I don't want to feel stressed, but I do. Outer eyes. I feel overwhelmed by life. Under the eyes. Things just feel too stressful at the moment. Under the nose. Sometimes I just feel really on edge, like there's too much to do. Underneath, on the chin, and I'll never get it done. I'll never get through the list. Under the collarbone, nice deep breath. And that makes me feel stressed. A never-ending to-do list. Feels like it's never enough. I've tried really hard, but I'm stressed because it's not enough. Under the arm, either side. The world feels like a stressful place. You don't have to put your hand here. It could be anywhere. This is just where I place it. The world feels like a stressful place. Tapping the wrist. Every time I switch on the news, it can be stressful. Okay, tapping across the thumb. Feel a bit overwhelmed. Next finger. And I feel this overwhelm in my body. Notice where you feel it. So at this point, things might stay the same or they might have moved. So just notice that, the energy, the sensations in your body. Next finger, repeating. God, I feel so stressed. Next. I don't want to feel stressed. Next. But I do sometimes feel stressed. Okay, I'm going to pause for a moment. Take a nice deep breath. I invite you just to check in with yourself and your body, to take a moment to notice what you're feeling, what your body's showing you. Sometimes with the tapping, you might have some clarity if something comes through. There might be something particular that is causing stress in your life that you were aware of, or maybe it surprised you. You might not have been aware of it. So you could take a note of that mentally or on a piece of paper. And also just see if anything's moved or shifted. Sometimes stress might be masking another emotion, so it might have moved into something else. And that's okay. That's that's very natural. We're just getting curious. I also invite you to see where you are, check in. Do you want to take a moment? Do you want to stop the video? Do you want to carry on? It's all about what feels right for you. Becoming aware. Sometimes we think we need to fix it. We need to fix it right now, whether it's this stressful feeling or whatever's going on for you. But actually, just becoming aware. Awareness is like medicine. Just becoming aware of how you feel is a wonderful acceptance tool. It's going to be really supportive. Okay, we're going to another round of tapping. And we will see what comes through for you personally, adjusting the words as you go, acknowledging how your body feels. For this, I'm going to say some things, start some sentences, and I'll invite you to finish them off in the comfort of your own home, whatever feels true to you. Remembering, if nothing comes up, don't worry. That's okay. You can say, I feel blank. That's perfectly valid too. Okay. Tapping that karate chop point. Continuing to build that bridge of connection between the mind and the body. Giving the body some space today to be heard, to be felt. You might check in with yourself and your body regularly, or this might feel quite different and new to you. So just be kind and gentle to yourself. It is a practice. And it takes time to develop it, to learn those signals of stress before they become big, too big. Just to say as well, it's good to keep tapping whilst I'm talking to you because this is supporting your nervous system to calm. Tapping is great for that. So with stress, stress is a natural response, right? We know that, like in the animal kingdom, when a stressful thing happens, like an animal's been chased, it will shake off that stress and then carry on, for example. But as humans, we've learned to push that stress down, and then it isn't addressed or released, and it can become chronic. So it's chronic stress, ongoing chronic stress in our system that is, going to lead to issues. So, it's not a case that we need to make that wrong or worry about it. It's just being aware and giving ourselves permission to release some of that stress. Shaking like this is a great thing to do if you're feeling stressed. Another tool for you. Okay, so repeating after me. Even though sometimes I feel overwhelmed, anxious, stressed. Okay, you can finish this sentence, what feels right for you. The thing that seems to stress me out the most is, might be more than one thing, that's okay. Okay, we'll do that again. The thing that seems to stress me out more than anything else is, right now I notice that. I notice this feeling of stress. I notice it in my body. Again, tune into where it is. I notice stress in my life, how it shows up in my relationships with myself or other people, perhaps in my work. And I wish it was different. I'd like to feel calmer, but sometimes I feel really stressed. Right now I notice it. Right now I give myself permission to feel stressed. I just notice that this is how I feel sometimes. And I choose to try to accept myself a little bit more, even with the stress. And I choose to try to give my body permission to release the stress. Perhaps there is some wisdom in my body and it's trying to show me something. I'm curious about that, about what will happen if I listen to my body. Okay. Top of the head, nice deep breath. I have this stress in my life, in my body. Inner eyebrows. I feel overwhelmed. Just too much going on. Outer eyes. This thing that stresses me out the most, whatever that is for you. This thing that stresses me out the most is. And I think it causes me stress because, again, fill in the blank if you can. If you're not sure, that's okay. This stressful feeling in my body, I want it to go away. Underneath on the chin, I just want the stress to go away. Just want to feel better, more relaxed. But instead I feel stressed, overwhelmed. I just want to fix it. I don't like how it feels, feeling stressed. Nice deep breath. I'm just curious about what it would be like to feel more calmness, So this isn't to be repeated, so this is me just talking. It's useful for you to get curious about what the opposite of stress is for you. So I'm using the word calm. It's quite a common one, but it might be something else. You know, the opposite of stress. What is the opposite? What do you want to feel? Is it calmness? Is it peace? Relaxation? What word resonates for you? Is it freedom? Is it confidence? Is it organization, clarity? Just get curious. And again, if you've got pen and paper, you can note it down or just mentally note it. Okay, under the arm, either side. Sometimes I feel stressed. I feel stressed about, and you can finish that. Sometimes I feel stressed about. Okay, tapping the wrist. And this stressful feeling, it's impacted me since. So just finish that with a sense of how long it's been impacting you. It might be a long time. It might be a more recent thing. We're just noticing. So we'll do that again. This stress has impacted me for. Okay. And if you notice, you might have some emotions come up around that. This is a good point for grief and sadness. So we'll stay here for a moment. You might have, some awareness, some emotions come up around how long the stress has affected you, or you might not feel sure. It's all good, whatever you feel. Tapping the thumb, nice deep breath. This stress in my body. Next finger. Just feel overwhelmed. Next. I hate feeling stressed. Next. But that's just the way it is. Next. Just a stressful world. Okay, we're going to go straight up to the top of the head. Nice deep breath. Okay, so we're going to tap into some sort of collective beliefs around stress perhaps and see how these resonate for you. Just repeating. It's a stressful world. Inner eyebrows. Everything's stressful. Outer eyes. I'd like to feel more calmness or whatever you want to feel more of. That opposite. Under the eyes. But there's too much to be stressed about. Under the nose. You might have other words that come up for you around stress, like anxiety, pressure. Just notice those. You can use those interchangeably. I feel pressure on the chin. In my life, I feel pressure about. Complete the sentence. Okay, collarbone, nice deep breath. I'd like to feel more. Again, complete the sentence. The opposite, what you want to feel. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed when I see what's going on in the world. It feels like a lot. Sometimes it feels like it's a bit much. Under the arm. But I also notice I don't always feel stressed, do I? Maybe there are times I do feel more calm. So just keep here for a moment, and you might struggle to connect with that. If you're struggling to think that you can feel calm, that's okay. Just notice it and open to the possibility of that 1-2% of letting calmness into your life, letting peace into your life. What would that be like? You can just ask the question, even if you don't believe it. Or perhaps you're noticing, yes, I can feel calm, or I felt really relaxed the other day or a time in your life. So just notice where you can feel that peace and that calmness. Tapping the wrist. Even though I feel stressed sometimes, and I've felt it for however long, I choose to notice that it could be different. Okay, tapping the thumb. Sometimes I'm stressed. Next. And it feels out of my control. Next. But maybe I can make a choice. Next. To invite more calmness in. Next. Even if I'm not sure how to do it. Top of the head. Checking in with yourself and how you're feeling. See how your body feels. Do you want to take a pause? Have a sip of water? Remember, you can always do your grounding meditation. Visit your safe place. If you're comfortable to carry on with me, we'll do a little bit more tapping before we finish today. This feeling of stress. So you're just repeating this feeling of stress in your eyebrows. Sometimes I'm overwhelmed. Outer eyes. But I recognise that I can feel calm sometimes. Or whatever your opposite was, calm, peaceful, content, under the eyes. There is a part of me that feels stressed. Under the nose. But there's a part of me that could feel different. Under the mouth. And I choose to notice that part. Okay, under the collarbone, nice deep breath. I'm curious about these parts. The stressful part and the more relaxed part. I'm curious. Maybe they're not right or wrong. They're just parts of me. Nice deep breaths. And I'm open to the possibility that they could come closer together under the arm. And I'm curious about that. About what it would be like for these different parts. The stressed part, the calmer part, to be closer together. Tapping the wrist. This stress has impacted me. And I acknowledge that. Tapping the thumb. But I choose to notice my stressful feelings next. And this other part that can feel calmer, or whatever it can feel, next. And I notice it, these different parts in me, next. These different parts in everybody, next. And even though I feel alone sometimes with my stress, top of the head, maybe I'm not. Maybe this is something other people feel too, in our eyebrows. Because there is stress in the world right now. Next. But there's also good too. And as you say that, just notice if you have any feelings around that. It might feel true for you, or you might feel that there isn't, and that's okay too. You just notice it and honour whatever you feel. Opening to the possibility that it could be different. Under the eyes. Even though life is stressful sometimes. Under the nose. I notice that there are some good things and peaceful things too. Under the mouth. That there is calm in the world. There are calm people. There are calm places. Under the collarbone, nice deep breath. And I'm just curious about how things could be different for me. By acknowledging my stress. By giving myself permission to feel stressed. To not fight it. What would that be like? It might feel scary, might feel whatever, just notice how it feels. And ask yourself, what is my stress trying to tell me? How can I support myself more? How can I take good care of myself? Under the arm. So in this process, we're asking these questions. Again, you don't need to repeat this, but we're asking these questions. We don't need the answer right now. You might have an answer come through and a sense of clarity. It might come later, or you might not. Just that's okay. Asking a question is really powerful. Okay, so just repeating. Even though I feel stressed sometimes, I choose to acknowledge it and to open to the possibility that I could feel better tapping the wrist. And though there's stress in the world, there's also calm and happiness too. Next. Maybe that's okay. These different parts of me. Next. Maybe it's okay to acknowledge my stress. Next. Maybe it's okay to invite in something else. Next. And maybe it's okay not to fight my stress or make it wrong. Next. Maybe it's okay to be just as I am in this moment. Okay, now we're going to do the gamut points. So this is just in either hand, in between your little finger and your ring finger knuckle, and you can hold it or tap it, whatever feels good for you. So it's just here. Take a nice deep breath. And just repeat. Even though I've had a lot of stress in my life, and I'd like to feel how you'd like to feel. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed. Right now I acknowledge there are things about my life and the world that can cause stress. But I also choose to notice that something else might be possible for me. That there is calmness, relaxation in the world. Maybe I could open up to some more calmness in my life. Maybe I could open up to the possibility of taking better care of myself, like I would a dear friend, if they felt stressed. Maybe I can ask myself, what do I need today that will help calm me down? Okay, just relaxing your hands, taking a nice deep breath. Okay, well done. Well done on following that. If you did throughout all of the tapping or whatever experience you had, it's really good that you came and you were open. So just get curious about your body right now. Notice, remember that number that you gave yourself at the start, the 1 to 10 of intensity of your stress, your sensation in your body, and the quality it had. Just tune in now and see what your body's showing you. Feeling might be the same number, might have gone up, might have gone down. The sensation might have moved, it might have lifted. So just notice that and get curious. And if you do notice that change, then really allow yourself to celebrate it, because it means you've shifted something and you know that this tapping is a great tool for you. So that's really good. Remember, if it intensified, try not to make that wrong and support yourself in any way that you need. Going to that grounding meditation, taking a moment, connecting with a friend on the phone, maybe looking at an online sort of community support group that you could join around stress. There's all kinds of things. The main thing is just making sure that you feel comfortable and safe around what's come through for you today. So any questions in the comments, as I mentioned, I will come to them. But some of the sort of main things I want to summarize and leave you with really are, we all feel stress, and it is when it builds up over a period of time that it becomes really intense. There is research that's shown that EFT tapping, whether you're speaking or not, speaking is ideal, but you can just tap on one or all of the points. Don't worry if you don't remember them. You can just do a few of them. That will still help you. It reduces the stress hormone, cortisol. It helps the nervous system to calm. So that's going to be a really good tool for you. And try not to make the sensation of stress wrong. So notice it. Your body, it is telling you something, it feels uncomfortable, something is bothering you, and your body is going to be the first thing to give you a sign. And it will gently tell you until you've ignored it for long enough, perhaps. But that's no, it's not your fault. Don't beat yourself up. That's something that most of us do, or all of us do. And then when you've ignored the little symptoms, you usually haven't felt them, or you've had to push on and survive and get on because you've been busy or there's been a lot going on. It might erupt and you might feel very stressed. There's different levels of stress. If you realise that you need some support with your stress, as discussed, speak to your GP. If it is this mild stress pattern, then self-tapping is a great tool. Choose a few points. And the key is to lean into what you're feeling. So you're giving your body permission to feel what it feels, and you are trying to accept yourself with that feeling, trying to accept and notice it without making it wrong. Just getting curious about it, about what it might be trying to show you, what else might be possible for you. And connect with that safe place more. That's a tool for you as well as the tapping. You can take yourself there in meditation, or even just a few seconds or minutes of deep breathing. You can do this as well to comfort yourself, connect with that safe place. Know that you're doing wonderfully well. That you're doing enough. And just take good care of yourself. Okay, after today, please drink plenty of water for the rest of today and also tomorrow. Make sure you're well hydrated. You've done some big healing work today. Journal if you want to on what came up. Get curious about any shifts that come up for you around your relationship to stress in your body in the coming days. Sometimes you can have aha moments and shifts after EFT session. Notice how you sleep tonight. Hopefully your sleep will be improved. Just see where it leads you. Thank you so much for sharing some tapping with me today. I hope that it supported you. Let me know how you found it. Take good care of yourself, and I'll pop up with another session soon. Thank you. I wish you a relaxing rest of the day. Bye.